What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here, and this is the Nightfall Gold Tier Guide, showcasing not only a complete walkthrough for how to beat the current Sepiks Perfected Nightfall, but also a bunch of tips and tricks for how to earn that gold Contender medal and complete the Sunrise bounty from Zavala and hopefully get the exotic Icebreaker Sniper Rifle. Now guys, I do apologize that this video is a day late. I was out of town, so I really appreciate those of you who have still come to this video, and especially those of you who have also supported it. Now, let's start out here with, before we get onto the build, which I'm going to kind of start out with, we have to, of course, go over the current Nightfall Modifiers. The first thing is Berserk. Now, this is going to make enemies not flinch when you shoot them. This can certainly be a problem, but this isn't one of the more problematic Nightfalls with it. Certain strikes not being able to make the boss flinch can be really problematic. Thankfully, this isn't one of them. We next move on to Small Arms, doubling the damage that you do with your primary weapon, and of course our build is going to reflect this. We then have Match Game, meaning that you're going to do substantially less damage if you're shooting an enemy with a non-matching damage type. So if the enemy has a Void Shield and you're shooting him with anything else other than a void weapon, you're going to be doing a lot less damage than normal. And lastly, we have Airborne, meaning that you deal more damage when you're in the air. So let's now get on to my recommended build. Now, I am playing a Sunbreaker Titan, and it worked great if you want to use the same thing. Because there is no burn modifier, you can pretty much use whatever subclass you are most comfortable with. A Void subclass would actually make a little bit more sense because Match Game is of course on, and the captains, the Siva captains, have Void Shields, and you are going to run into a decent amount of those, so that is the only consideration I would have when picking a subclass. Other than that, it is really up to you. I would recommend, however, one person running a Night Stalker Hunter just to produce those orbs, which is going to allow everyone to get their supers more often and therefore get you more points. Now onto the actual build. For the primary weapon, I was using the Outbreak Prime. Absolutely fantastic weapon, pretty much the best primary weapon you can use for this current Nightfall. Now the reasons being is, firstly, Small Arms is going to make this thing amazing. Funny enough, however, Small Arms actually doesn't affect the damage dealt by the Siva nanites. I found that out when I tested the Outbreak against, Skolass from way back in the day. But the Outbreak is still going to be doing great damage. The nanite swarms are just like the icing on the cake. And the Outbreak Prime does bonus damage against fallen enemies. And this strike has a ton of fallen enemies. So this is going to be a fantastic weapon to use, but pretty much any powerful primary weapon that has substantial benefits you're going to want to use. Something like the Bad Juju, which is going to let you use your super so much more often. Something like the Zalo Supercell, which is also going to let you use your super more often. Just use an exotic primary weapon that's going to get you a bunch of benefits for using it. It is Small Arms, so capitalize on that fact. As for your other weapons, utilize a bunch of different elements. Now, I was using the Sunbreaker Titan, which means that my abilities are of course going to be solar. So to compensate for that, my secondary was a Void Raid sidearm, and my heavy was an Arc Raid heavy machine gun. So that just covers all of the different elements that you can put forth in terms of damage. It's going to let you, if you encounter a guy with an arc shield, you switch to your heavy. If you encounter a guy with a solar shield, you utilize your abilities. And of course, Void, you utilize your secondary. It lets you really make the most of that Match Game modifier. Now for my exotic armor piece, I was using the Ruin Wings, simply because, as I explained, if I'm going to rely on my heavy for taking down arc shielded enemies, I want a decent amount of heavy ammo to utilize. Furthermore, capitalizing on your heavy ammo is going to let you get those heavy kill streaks. That's going to increase your overall points and also help you get, rainbow medals and whatever else you may need to get for whatever other lingering challenge you may have. But your exotic armor piece is really up to you. There's a lot of variation that could definitely work. You don't have to use anything specific. Now that's it for the build, let's move on to the Nightfall walkthrough. Now the first thing you're used to doing, I'm sure, in this strike is hopping on a sparrow and speeding to your destination. But you're actually really not going to want to do this, and you'll see us kind of realize what we're doing and hop off your sparrow. A huge tip I have for you guys, especially if you are struggling with points, is to just walk. Don't hop on your sparrow, just walk to the normal strike destination, and on your way, kill a bunch of enemies. These enemies will still generate points for you. They're really not that hard to kill, and even us, going on our sparrows and hopping off halfway, by the time we actually got into the proper strike, we had nearly 4,000 extra points just for spending 30 seconds, honestly like no time at all, killing ads. So this is definitely something I would recommend doing. When you start the Nightfall, just walk there, kill ads along the way, and get a nice buffer zone of points. Now moving on, you're going to fight your way through some enemies. By the way, watch out for the turrets on the left side. You want to make sure you take those down so they're not shooting you through the window or directly in your face. But you're going to kill your way through some enemies and make it to the first strike mechanic. And that is, of course, defusing the laser barriers as you defend. Now my favorite place to hold out is right beyond the console that you have to activate for this event, and it's right underneath the elevated platform that a lot of other people like to hold out. But if you're up here, and you'll see some of my teammates are up there, you really can handle the enemies that spawn. There are going to be enemies that spawn like right beside you, and that can be problematic, but as you can see, one grenade can take care of pretty much all of them. So if you want to be up there, you're going to have a advantageous sight picture. You're going to be able to pick off enemies throughout this entire area, but you are going to be pressured with those enemies spawning right beside you, so you kind of have to be on top of that. The area I am underneath, you are not pressured at all. No enemies spawn behind you whatsoever, and you can duck behind cover and be pretty much completely safe to regen health whenever you need to, and then you can just poke out and engage enemies at will. I would recommend having one person where you see me in this encounter. It's by far the safest place. Just having one person there in case the other two go down, that person can be safe and go for those revives. If you try to get too aggressive and push out too far, especially trying to go after those points, you can definitely run into some trouble. There's going to be enemies hiding off in corners that you maybe didn't see initially, and there's also a decent amount of invisible snipers that you are going to encounter. You could be totally full health 1 minute, but after a battle and you're weakened, and then suddenly you have snipers shooting at you, you can die very quickly, and again, you won't really expect it. So stick to the back, pick off enemies with your primary weapon, which is going to be basically a sniper rifle because of small arms. It does so much damage, and just let the points rack up. Don't get too aggressive. If you see a bunch of enemies like kind of piling up near the bottom of this kind of a ravine that they'll naturally kind of end up in, by all means, pop a super, go to town, get some points. But I would definitely recommend being on the defensive side for this encounter. Now the final wave of ads will contain kind of a semi-boss. It's going to be a named yellow health captain, and you will have to kill this captain in order to progress. So just make sure you're aware of that if you're pushing out further and further. As you're picking off, the dregs of the final wave, you don't want to be suddenly ambushed by this boss who just dump trucks you in the back. After the laser barriers go down, you're going to make your way outside to a random encounter. You may encounter a fallen splicer walker, but you also may encounter a bunch of hive ogres. Either way, you're just going to have to kill a bunch of stuff before you can progress. Now, I've seen a lot of people in this part who like to hang out beside the back building. However, I prefer to make my way forward and to the right. There's kind of a divot that you can see me naturally go to, and you're protected from pretty much every enemy in this divot. You can hop up on the corners of it and you can shoot out of it, but you can just kind of make your way back down the hill and hide in that low area, and you're protected from really everything. The tank can't shoot you, the hive ogres can't get you, really nothing goes to you. So it lets you be a little bit closer to the action, lets you take down those enemies pretty easily, with your primary weapon, which you're obviously going to want to be making the most of with small arms. And it also lets you quickly run out and grab ammo if you need it. Again, you're very close to the fight while still being in a very good protected area. From here, make sure to kill all of the adds before engaging the ogres or walker, just because you want to get the most points as you can. Also consider maybe not killing the ogres or walkers really quickly if you have the opportunity to, like let them kind of respawn and get back up again. You're gonna have to take them down again, yes, but that may trigger another wave of adds to spawn, which is going to get you more points. So don't try to rush through this part, take a little bit more time and kill all of the adds in it as well. Now, once you have taken care of the boss and the adds, there is going to be a door that opens and a bunch more adds are going to pour through. This is a perfect time for a super to be utilized to rack up the points and just get a bunch of orbs for everyone else for the next final encounter. With the next encounter, of course, being the boss fight. Now, the mechanics of this encounter work as such. Sepiks is going to lose his shields, you're going to be able to damage him for just a little bit, and then he's going to gain an elemental shield. At that point, he's going to be impossible to damage, a bunch of adds are going to spawn, and amongst these adds is going to be a captain of the appropriate element. So if Sepiks has a solar shield, there's going to be a solar shielded captain that spawns called a solar captain. You're going to have to kill that captain. He's going to drop his solar cannon. You're going to have to pick up that cannon, shoot Sepiks right in the face, and then that's going to lower the solar shield of Sepiks. You're going to be able to damage him for a little bit longer. He's going to gain another shield of another element, and you're going to do the same thing again. Kill the captain of the appropriate element, shoot Sepiks with the right elemental cannon. That's going to take him down, and you're going to damage him. Rinse and repeat. Now, in this encounter, there are going to be a couple of great places to hold out, and you are going to want to take those opportunities. You don't want to be too much in the open in this final boss fight, because Sepiks is going to be teleporting all around the map and just laying waste to everything beneath him. And there are going to be several occasions where you literally can't damage him. So being out in the open is definitely not the best idea. And it's going to be more than Sepiks too. There's going to be a ton of adds spawning from pretty much everywhere. So here in this back room, as you can see me now, this is a great place to hold out. You can fit a couple of people back here. You are going to want to make sure to watch those stairs. Enemies can every once in a while come up them, so you're going to want to kill them if they do. But I really love this other back area on the other side of this arena. You can hide behind these fallen boxes and nothing can damage you. Like if you're crouching behind here, really nothing can actually shoot you and damage you. That is, of course, if you've let all of the adds spawn in front of you. Some bullets from those adds may actually hit you, but if you're on top of the adds spawning out of the door that is in front of you, they will spawn in front of you, yes, but not behind you. And if you're behind the fallen boxes, you can just shoot them all day long, and almost all of the bullets that they try to engage you with are going to be missing. They're going to be hitting the boxes that you're shooting over top of. Also, another great thing about this location is that the elemental captains are going to spawn out of the door right in front of you. So as soon as they spawn, you can utilize your super or a heavy and take them down right away and shoot Sepiks' shields pretty much immediately. However, although I do think this location is great for holding out in this final encounter, it's not big enough to hold your entire fire team. So the other two members of your fire team are likely going to have to go to the first room I showed you, which is no problem at all. It really doesn't take too much to sprint across this arena and get to any downed fire team members. And you can also remember, take the stairs and go underneath if you need to avoid the adds on top. From these holdout positions, simply take on this encounter however you see fit. If you're running low on points, you definitely want to prioritize killing adds so that you can farm that score. You're going to want to get to 45,000 points to get the gold contender medal. But if you do achieve that point score, you can start ignoring the adds a little bit and just damage Sepiks himself. Now, I was able to just damage Sepiks just with my primary weapon. The Outbreak Prime is going to be doing massive damage, especially because, of course, of small arms. 2 bosses. Like, you just do phenomenal DPS with just your primary weapon. So don't think that you have to switch to a sniper rifle to take down Sepiks. By all means, just stick with your primary weapon, and that's actually going to let you run a fusion rifle, a sidearm, or a shotgun to take care of those adds more easily, and especially take care of those captains really quickly. Trying to take them down with a sniper rifle, especially when they're teleporting everywhere, can definitely be a struggle. Now guys, that's gonna be it for this week's Gold Tier Nightfall Guide. Once you complete this strike with 45,000 points or more, you're going to achieve the Gold Tier rating, and that's going to automatically complete the Sunrise Bounty from Zavala. I hope you guys enjoyed, found this video helpful, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating, commenting, and especially sharing. I really appreciate everyone who likes this video with their Twitter accounts linked. That really helps me out. If you guys want to see more Destiny content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCactus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.